As investigators close in on top Trump business executives, will they also soon be after the president's adult children in an attempt to get to the president himself? And is, as the president suggests, the Justice Department turning a blind eye to potential legal trouble on the other side of the aisle? Well, tonight's panel here to debate, co-host of The Five right here on Fox News, Juan Williams, and the chairman of the American Conservative Union, Matt Schlapp. Gentlemen, welcome to you both.
Hello.
Great to have you with us.
Great to be here.
Okay, I want to read a little something that Kimberly Strassel wrote in the in the Wall Street Journal. She says this: the country has watched the FBI treat one presidential campaign with kid gloves, the other with informants, warrants, and eavesdropping. They've seen the Justice Department resist all efforts at accountability, even as it fails to hold its own accountable. Don't get them started on the one-sided media, and they're now witnessing unequal treatment in Special Counsel Robert Mueller's probe. Juan, how do you respond?
Well, I think this is an effort to distract from what's going on. It's been a very tough week for President Trump, and I think President Trump's supporters, including Ms. Strassel, are saying, let's go back and relitigate everything that happened with the Democrats. Let's go back at the Hillary Clinton. Let's go back and look at not only Hillary Clinton, but Jim Comey, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page. Let's just bring it all back. Let's go after them and not focus on the man who's in the White House.
Well, he's a busy man, and he's got a lot coming at him. Matt, I want to play something for you. This comes from the attorney from Spiro Agnew, if people go on the Wayback Machine. He's got some advice for the president.
If he has any interest at all in not only saving his skin, but the skin of his child, his children, his son-in-law, his grandchildren, his daughter, this is a time when he's got to seriously think about it.
What do you make of that, Matt? Because a lot of people say, listen, the way to get to the president, who says he's very tough, he can take it, he likes these fights, but you go after his family, it might be a different thing.
Yeah, and what this is all about is a coup. The people who lost the election in 2016 immediately went into this ridiculous story about Russian collusion. Through a series of Keystone Cop steps, they got a special counsel. And now they're talking about what the president did 10 years before he was president. And we can't even get an investigation about what Obama did while they were in office. And I think this advice from this lawyer is absurd. And I think it's time for Republicans and conservatives and Trump supporters, and quite frankly, just fair-minded people, is to look at whether or not there was Russian collusion, look at whether or not there was treason, look at whether or not laws were broken as far as the election is concerned, not Donald Trump's life from 10 years before he was even elected president. This is absurd.
All right, I want to play something to your point that Rush Limbaugh had to say about what all of this, going after the organization, the business, the kids, what it's all about.
Getting rid of Donald Trump is it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why. It doesn't matter how. It doesn't matter the pretext. Just getting rid of him is all that matters. If they have to ruin Ivanka, if they have to ruin Jared, if they have to ruin Don Jr. and Eric, so what? They'll do it. That's what this is all about.
Juan, is that what this is all about?
I hope not. That would be unfair. And I think, from my perspective, you do not want to politicize any judicial effort, any law enforcement action in this country. And if our politics really comes down to somebody doesn't like Donald Trump, or somebody says we're going to go after our political enemies and our political foes like the person who we beat in the last election, Hillary Clinton, I just think it lessens public trust in the integrity of the justice system of the United States. I think there are people who want to say to the conservative base in this country, they're going after our hero, they're going after Donald Trump. But, I just listened to Matt, and I thought to myself, gee, it seems to me that from what I heard on the tape with Michael Cohen, what I heard in terms of the National Enquirer is there was an effort in the midst of the 2016 election to stop any kind of disclosure of events, as Matt said, that took place many years before that could have embarrassed or hurt the Trump campaign because it was become public. But it seems to me that that is very much relevant, and of course, potentially, I'll leave that up to Matt and the rest of the audience to decide, a violation of campaign finance law.
Well, listen, there's been quite a bit of debate within the legal field about that and about other cases where there have been very similar things that have happened and people have gotten a slap on the wrist or nothing, and whether this was simply about going after the president, if this was to avoid embarrassment, if this was to impact an election, all those things, and people agree that the FEC and campaign finance laws are very vague. And we had someone last night who said, listen, if the government wants to go after you, they'll find a way. But Matt, these are things, these are questions now that the president may have to answer.
Yeah, of course. Now, first of all, Juan, I applaud you for saying we shouldn't politicize any investigations, but that's too late because they tried to quote unquote stop him by using the FISA court. So we're already deep into it, which is a tragedy. If you look at whether or not Donald Trump, what he did 10 years before he became president, I think most Americans say that just doesn't matter. And finally,
but
when
Matt,
Hillary
it may not
Clinton
be what
was
happened
investigated.
Matt, it may not be what happened 10 years before, but I think to Juan's point, it's what was happening 6 months before the election.
Okay, but then Shannon, you're a lawyer, I know, and you know what you're talking about. But let me just push back on this question. When Jim Comey investigated Hillary Clinton's lawbreaking around her emails and her servers and all the government information, he said that he couldn't prosecute her because it was a close call. If you talk to FEC experts, and I've talked to a half dozen of them, they will tell you that it's not a very clear shot that President Trump committed any violation against any FEC code, but yet the special counsel is pressing his advantage. Why is it one set of rules for Hillary Clinton and another set of rules for Donald Trump? This simply can't stand.
Yeah, a lot of people are asking that question and looking back to the John Edwards case and to others in the past and saying it clearly shows a difference of treatment. Very quickly, because we got to go, I want you both to just give me a yes or no. Do you think if the Democrats take the House, they'll impeach? Juan?
Oh, I think that there's lots of talk about it, but at the moment, it's being used by Republicans, I think, to try to stir up people, say, oh, this is about impeachment.
Hey, Juan.
Matt, is that true? Is that how you're going to try to get folks to the polls?
How about this? Yes. It's all about impeachment.
No,
every voter needs to understand that.
Okay. Juan Williams and Matt Schlaff, have a great weekend, you both. Thanks for weighing in.
Enjoy. Thank you.